welcome to this episode of the Cajun Conservative Show, where we talk about life, we talk about liberty, and we talk about the pursuit of happiness, and we show you, the audience, and the world that Cajuns do have intelligence. Hope you're having a good day, good week, wherever you are located. Remember that Jesus is King, and He is Lord, and He's coming back one day, so He has overcome everything from the enemy, and sometimes when you're down in gloom, guess what? You can just find rest in Him. Amen. So I got a lot of topics. There's a lot of breaking news today, ladies and gentlemen. So I needed some help. And I needed some help. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on the screen. He is the co-host of Two Mics Live on Rumble, and he's also the host of Caldarise Unleashed. Mike Caldarise. I got your name right this time?
Oh, you nailed it, bud. Good job. Yeah, you've been listening.
I've been listening, man.
Listening a little bit.
How you been?
Been great, man. How you been?
Blessed and highly favored.
I know you are. But seeing you on TikTok, I've been listening to your shows. I love the new format. It's awesome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely it fits you really well, bro.
So I appreciate that. And look, hey, you and Dr. Michael Swartz are doing a good job over there on Rumble. Two Mics Live. Show's growing.
Dude, it's growing. It's growing fast. We got over, we got to 500 subscriptions pretty fast within the first month from, starting from dead cold. I think we're the last couple of shows are 700-800 views per show. I think we're over 14,000 in our first 22 episodes. So man, listen, for a start to a show, I can't ask for anything more. It's been awesome, but it's a lot. It's a lot of work. I listen to a lot of absolute garbage all day long. With both sides, so it's good. Yeah.
I don't get to listen as much as I like to, but I do read a lot. I have tons of news articles, and especially going to the format we're at now, every day, you have to find something. And days like today, I wish I'd had a long hour show again. And it was good about podcasts. You can always continue, but just a lot going on, Mike. And, let's start off with the elephant in the room. With Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump's appeal for immunity was declined by, of course, a D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. One Bush appointee and two Biden appointees made this decision. No shock that they turned down the appeal. This is going because Donald Trump says, look, y'all pushing me for this, that I said the election was stolen or whatever. I had immunity and I could have done that. I was trying to find out the evidence. He also says double jeopardy because he was tried for it and not convicted in the Senate. And Mike, you told me earlier you watched a lot of this hearing. Let's get your point of view on it before I go ahead and give my whole point of why I think this is going on.
So it was. I did watch the entire hearing. So it was one of those days where I was trying to do a prep. We were doing that hearing as one of the news features for the show that we do on Wednesdays. We do the news on Wednesdays, and I was listening to it the entire time, and it didn't surprise me at all when you notified me, because I didn't even hear about it today, that it came down against them because they weren't even ruling on Trump. You have to understand that. I don't think the majority of people out there really understand that. They were ruling on overall presidential immunity. So when they were asking the two different sides lawyers questions, what they were doing was they were giving these wild hypotheticals, like, so if a president decides to use Navy SEAL, I can't even get that out of my mouth.
SEAL Team 6.
SEAL Team 6. There you go. If he chose to do that to take out his political opponent, is he immune from that? And they were using these wild hypothetical situations to make a ruling. So technically speaking, when they say that, that they've ruled against Trump, what they really ruled against was the overall presidential immunity. Do presidents have immunity for every single last little thing? That's what that court was asking questions about. All of their questions. It was amazing listening to them go back and forth because the judges were almost arguing with the lawyers, and then Trump's lawyers especially. And then when the government's lawyer came up, they were almost like not in cahoots, but like asking them affirmatory questions. You know what I'm talking about? It wasn't anywhere near as combative. So this ruling, when I listened to that, I knew it was going to go against them because they weren't ruling like I said, in favor of Trump or not. They were ruling in favor of general immunity for every president. That's what I saw.
And look, this is going to go up to the Supreme Court. It's already said that Donald Trump is probably going to appeal this case, which he should do. He has every legal right to do so. You know, Mike, this is where I'm going to come to the point with this because the reason this is coming up is because Jack Smith, the special counsel that was appointed by the Department of Justice to try to be fair. It's kind of funny. I always bring this out that he had twice as much money as a special prosecutor that looked into Biden's document case, and which is going to come out in a couple of days saying, "Oh, Biden didn't do nothing wrong." Double standards right there, by the way. Just funny. It's just, Biden didn't do nothing wrong while they had him in a garage with his Corvette, where his son was dealing with all kind of anyway. But Jack Smith wants to get this trial going before the election, and he's pushing this circuit, these judges to hurry up and rule. Like he wants the Supreme Court to hurry up and rule so they can get it before Donald Trump gets elected. And Mike, I know you said you watched it, so this is firsthand knowledge. Mm-hmm. These judges were doing everything, and I read the articles as well. They were doing everything to make Donald Trump look bad and the special prosecutor look good. And they were basically trying to help the special prosecutor out, trying to say, hey, you need to look into this, look into that. That's how I seen that. This is all to stop Donald Trump from being president in 2024.
I don't know that I 100% agree with you. You know, as far as were they trying to make Donald Trump look bad? That was the surprising thing when I listened to it. I would say no, that it wasn't about Donald Trump at all. Their questions, when the judges were asking the lawyers questions, it was not about Donald Trump's actions. It was nothing about that. It was solely based on, is a president immune from whatever the hell they decide to do, period. That's what they were ruling on. So it's almost like it wasn't even about Trump. That's the thing that struck me the most. So no, they weren't trying to demean him, but what you said the last part was, is it all for the election? I think that's clear right at this point. How else? I mean, 92 different felonies. They're trying him for things that we all know. I mean, let's face facts. Whether you're right or left that are listening to you, like, we all know that every single one of these politicians have been doing this stuff for a really, really, really long time. And we know, like you said, Biden has had documents next to his Corvette and in Chinatown and in Delaware and all these different places. Every one of these guys have done it. And then even Bill Clinton, the National Archives sued Bill Clinton over stealing. He recorded foreign leaders' conversations, hid him in his sock drawer, and then smuggled them out of the White House in his socks. They found out about it. They sued to get them back. And the court said, no, you could do whatever you want because you were the president. So it's just, we all know that these double standards exist, and we all know why Donald Trump is the only one that is getting it, because deep down inside, like he says, it's the one thing that I really, really, I agree with a lot of Trump says, but this is the one thing that I really agree with is, they're not going after him. They're going after me. They're going after you. They're going after every regular American that dares to stand up against anybody that's not in that political class. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and look, they're trying to tell people, hey, don't do this again. Because, look, Trump was not supposed to win in 2016. Trump was not supposed to win. He was not supposed to beat Hillary. Remember, they were so sure Donald Trump would not win that they gave Hillary buku, look, it was just the word I'm trying to say is they gave her out of all the odds. Vegas said she was president of the United States, and Donald Trump spoke the will of the people. And I was thinking about this earlier. Everything that Donald Trump fought for in 2016, he's fighting for again. We had a bad border crisis. The economy was bad. Everything that he ran on in 2016, he's running against Joe Biden again. And that's why I think he's going to win more against than he did Hillary Clinton. That's my personal opinion. But this whole mess, like you said, 91 felonies. The cases against him are falling apart. Look what's happening in Georgia with Fulton County. Nobody cares.
She admitted to it. And she admitted to having an affair at this
and that shows she's biased against Donald Trump because she picked somebody she knows she would get the case for. Then Andy Biggs, nobody's talking about that. You have Jack Smith's case falling apart because of this immunity thing. And the only thing you have is Mar-a-Lago, which I sent you an article earlier from ABC News where they're interviewing people because they think they missed the room. So raising a question, will there be another raid on Mar-a-Lago? Because they need to check them rooms. They maybe forgot one that was locked in a secret room that Donald Trump had in his basement. So all this is trying to make Donald Trump look bad. And I still go back to the case with the judges, though, because like the judges' line of questioning, well, what if he goes ahead and puts a hit on a political rival? Could he get out of? Could he be immune from that? Could he be doing? And I'm thinking to myself, they're trying to put that into the mind of people. Oh, Donald Trump's this evil being that he might go after his political enemies. And I'm thinking to myself, Joe Biden's been doing that since day one, since he got into office.
You sent me two things today. One was Joe Biden blaming Donald Trump for this immigration stuff. No matter what, they're going to blame him, and they have to make him look bad. They have to make him look like a criminal. What are the new adjectives for Donald Trump this month? He's now a rapist, right? Just because they found him liable of, I don't know, touching some woman. It's all of these labels that they're trying to stick on him that aren't sticking. And every time they try to stick another BS label on him, what happens? His numbers go up. Yep. And if you notice what Joe Biden's doing, like he makes this speech that's all about Donald Trump and the border. Do you notice it's very interesting that gas prices are down on an election year?
Yep.
That they're finally, Joe Biden did everything in his power, like 64 different actions that he took to absolutely destroy the border that Trump had under control. And now he's blaming Trump for the border. And they're trying to make him look like, oh, you're the one that's sabotaging this entire deal. How is it, and this is something that I think everyone needs to really think about in their heads. How is it that a guy that's been there for 50 years, that has overseen every bad bipartisan bill that has come out of Congress for the last 50 years, the guy that's been there for 50 years has not been able to fix it one time, has not been able to fix it. But now, all of a sudden, after he made it horrible, after he said that, no, it's not a problem, it's not a problem, it's not a problem, all of a sudden, wow, it's a problem. Now we have this great deal all of a sudden that's going to fix the border. And the only thing standing in the way of this progress is Donald Trump, the guy who's not in office, the guy that's not in Congress, the guy that's not running the country. But I guess he really is still running the country, isn't he? Because if he's the one that's stopping this deal, who's in charge? Is it this weak inept Joe Biden who can't even get his own border deal passed after he ruined the deal? Or is it the guy who put in policies in place that secured the border that's no longer in power? Help me make that make sense.
It don't make sense, but it shows that he's backwards in everything he does. Because look, Mark Levin did a great job. He did a podcast. Well, his radio program, they put it into podcast form so you can listen. And he made this point. He said, listen, you had this man that the executive orders. And for the last man played I think a minute and a half, 2-minute montage of Democrats just 3 weeks ago saying that the border's secure, the border's safe. There's not that many migrants coming through. Oh, you're all making. Now all of a sudden they come to this Senate deal where it's a shambles down there. We need to get it fixed, and the only one to fix it is Biden in this deal. And look, I broke down this whole deal yesterday on my program, somewhat of it. This bill had a provision that Biden could erase all these laws if he wanted to by himself. Gave him executive power to say, hey, I don't think that's happening. I'm going to erase this law. The $60 billion going to Ukraine. And look, I'm working on something right now. I'm probably going to release it tomorrow, giving a heads up to why does Israel have to suffer for Ukraine? Because look, we right before coming on, it was breaking story that the House of Representatives failed to give more aid to Israel. Israel's our only ally in the Middle East. They're surrounded by their enemies. I would justify giving more to Israel, but this whole bill was a shamble. It wasn't good for the American people. Now you even have Republicans that wrote on it finally read it. Oh, this isn't going to help us. And like you said, they want to blame Donald Trump, but at the same time, they want to make Donald Trump look bad in court as well. And dude, it just don't make sense.
It does make sense when you haven't done anything, Isaac, for how many years, like Joe Biden, 50 years, and in all 50 years, you really don't have anything to run on. And you know what? You say what you want to say about the election, it was stolen or whatever you want. The reality was at the time that people were a little bit fed up with Donald Trump and the circus that followed him. Right? It's the circus that followed him is the problem. So now all of a sudden, Joe Biden didn't look that bad then, but now we see what he's about. And everyone knows it. Like when you actually look at the economic indicators, the stock market's up, our GDP is actually doing pretty good, or we had a really good jobs report. Right? These are things that really are positive for the economy that Trump would be sitting there going, look, man, unemployment's down and jobs are up and the GDP's great and look at the stock market. Trump would be taking credit for these things. But deep down, every American really knows that that's not true for them in their real life. And what they saw under Trump was cheaper gas prices. They saw cheaper eggs and cheaper food. And they seen this stuff. And now he's out of sight, out of mind. And what I said from the beginning was all Trump needed to do was not remind people why they don't like him. Because if he does that, then they won't vote for him again. But now I think all bets are off. And if you notice, Trump is he's very calm. He's very coordinated. Like he's very in touch with what he is saying. And their only hope, like when I look at the Democrats, Isaac, I go, what's their game here? What do they hope to accomplish? Because they haven't been able to successfully, call him a maniac or put all these labels on him. Once again, there's people saying that they have to either kill him or put him in jail. And even I think if he gets into jail, he's still going to run from jail and he's probably going to win. Yeah, that's the craziest part.
Yeah, because you see, like a lot of people saying, in Florida, you can't vote as a felon. So, I think that's all over the country as well. Mm-hmm. But he might be the first president to not even vote for himself. That's a possibility. That's a possibility. You get what I'm saying?
I do. That's awesome. I never even thought about it like that. That's crazy.
Well, look, let's go back to the case we talked about today. Jack Smith wants to hurry up and do it before the election because he's afraid that if Donald Trump wins the election in 2024, he can dismiss the case and then pardon himself on all future cases. That except in Georgia, which, like we said, Fulton County, that's a debacle right there. I don't know what she was thinking when she did that stuff, but it's crazy, man. Look at all the constitutional problems we're having with that, though.
Well, it's you name it. One of the big problems that I've noticed. I've been doing deep dives into the immigration. All right, all the immigration laws, and one of the things that I've noticed, Isaac, is there's a lot of people that want to sit there and say, hey, these guys are illegal, blah, 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 blah. But the biggest problem is our laws are like convoluted. So when you take U.S. Code 8, Section 1325, it's not very well written. And then all the other laws behind that, like the amnesty laws and all the other laws that take part, almost contradict themselves with these other laws. So when you have a president like Trump that can interpret 1325 in a way where I can completely close down the border and blah, 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 and then a new president comes in and the same exact law can be interpreted to, hey, I can let everybody in up to 10,000 a day or whatever it is, that we had 13,000 the one day. When you have laws that are so poorly designed and rushed and made behind closed doors, you don't know what the hell's in them until years down the road where they're ineffective. That's the biggest problem. And we keep letting these people do this stuff to us. We keep letting them make these garbage laws that they're not even accountable to, and they don't even honor 3-4 years after they pass their own laws. It's really disgusting what we're doing, especially with the immigration stuff. It's so disgusting. I can't even tell you.
And look, you bringing that up. There's some issues going on here in Louisiana about Blue Cross Blue Shield, the insurance company. And look, Jeff Landry, we're working to get him on this show. We're working with his people. And I like Jeff Landry. Jeff Landry got some good conservative stuff. But before when he was governor-elect, they asked him about this deal. He said, it's a bad deal. Well, come to find out, now he's saying, I'm for the deal. Now, people don't like this deal. And when I heard this, I said, this is the reason why people don't like politicians. This is the reason why people can't stand Republicans or Democrats, because it don't matter who you are. If you're a Republican or Democrat, you go on the campaign trail. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. And when you get into office, you forget about it, or you don't do nothing until election year. Like you said, Biden hasn't done diddly squat for the economy. He hasn't done diddly squat for gas prices. He has given our gas to Chinese affiliates. All of a sudden now, like you said, the economy's starting to go up a little bit. Jobs are going up, which I ask the question, how many of that 2 or 3 jobs are for one person?
Some government jobs.
So you have all this. Now they're starting to do something on election year. Why? Because they want your vote. And Mike, look, I talk with politicians all the time. It's just, you just wonder, man, where's the truth in all that? And look, on this final note, and look, you can say whatever you want. The only politician that really did what he was supposed to do was Trump. Trump said, I'm going to close the border. He did. I'm going to build the border wall. He started. I'm going to bring up the economy. Before COVID-19, the economy was booming. See, Biden likes to show the numbers the last year Trump was in there during the coronavirus. He don't show them the 3 years prior to that. And look, our good friend Michael Schwartz could probably educate us on that a lot more, but that just shows that the hypocrisy of these politicians. Hey, we're going to do something, and they wait to do it to the last minute to get your vote back. And it's just sad how politicians are right now. You mentioned that, remind me of that.
It's what's much sadder though, Isaac, is how we as a voting public aren't wising up to this and starting, a party where we actually have some type of voice. You're trying to get these people under control. We have so much power, we don't really realize it, where if we just got together and all realize that they are trying to separate us in these little groups, that way we keep fighting amongst ourselves and we're not focused on what they're doing. I'm more irritated at the people than the politicians. It's that old adage, fool me once, shame on you, fool me once, shame on me, right? So we let them get away with this over and over and over again. We let people like Lindsey Graham play every side of every single issue for the time that he's in politics. If you really think about it, Joe Biden just 5-6 years ago was completely anti-LGBT. He was completely for 100% closing the border down. Right? When you look at him back in the 70s, he was talking about having people come over because we needed to labor for the farms and all that stuff. He played every single side of this immigration issue over the 50 years that he's been there. And we are so foolish to believe that he's A, going to be the one to fix it, and B, not responsible for the problems that have been going on and the horrible situation that we're in now. He's responsible for all of it. But we let it take place. That's the real issue, Isaac.
And look, we could have done a lot better if we would have, because look, even on the Democratic side, because there's Democrats that don't like him right now either. They had, look, God forbid, Kamala Harris. They had Pete Buttigieg. I call him Buttigieg because he's so full. He lies so much. He's like Swiss cheese. You remember the Tom and Jerry cheese with all the holes? That's Buttigieg. You had other candidates in that race that probably could have done a better job than Joe Biden, in my humble opinion. Look, Jimmy Carter, I've been saying this, and look, I believe he's still alive. Jimmy Carter's unfortunately old as dirt, but Jimmy Carter, can go to his grave saying I was not the worst president of the United States.
No, he can't. I mean, he
Joe Biden might not be that far behind him, but he.
They're fighting for inflation numbers. I love how they want to take credit for lowering inflation when it's not lower, it's just not as high.
Yeah.
It's so ignorant. Hey, look, gas prices are down $2. It's like, well, you raised them to $6.50 a gallon. Like, of course they're going to be down. Or when they say the ignorant stuff like, hey, guess what? We have reduced our deficit over, $500 billion this year. Well, when you raised it $2 trillion and it's still $1.5 trillion, you haven't done anything. You're just putting the spin on it for the ignorant people that are going to believe you. Yeah. And there's so many of them. And I think it's sheer laziness because they listen to these clips and they don't take the time to do things for themselves.
And look, we do. We look into a lot of things. You get what I'm saying? But you have 2 shows. I have 2 shows that that we do a lot of research on. So we look at things like that. But it's sad that look, going back to our original topic of Trump going to court. Okay, you use the lady in the convenience store. I've had people reach out to me and say, "Oh, you're supporting a rapist," and I go back and look. I'm like, "No, I'm not." The court said, and when it said abuse, it wasn't talking about sexual abuse. It was talking about verbal abuse. He was like, nothing about the sexual the racial claims were never proven. And this was all done in civil court. I said, look, watch when this lady burns through that well, I doubt she gets it, but that $83 million, if she get, what happens when she spends all that? Is she going to go ask Donald Trump for Trump Tower next?
And she'll probably get it. And she'll say, he groped him in 1987. It's just interesting, when you could have, when you have this type of stuff going on, and like you said, they had to have this lawsuit to make him look like a rapist. Because what other horrible thing can you call him? He's everything. He's every adjective. And now you had to prove, and people are running with that. Oh, it's proven that he's a rapist.
It's not.
No, was he charged with any crime? No. He's a rapist based on what evidence, right? I mean, I take everything with evidence based. And I don't automatically think that, the woman's not is telling the truth or lying. I think everyone's full of garbage until they prove to me they're not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't take anybody's word for it. So when you're telling me 30 years later you're trying to sue a man and you have no witnesses, you don't even remember the date, you don't remember the year, you don't remember the month, you think it took place sometime, and then you have a couple people say that you told them that it happened, and somehow you get $85 million because, not because of the rape, because he came out and said, you're crazy, I didn't rape you. That's what this was all about. So when you look at it and say, wait a second, she's not defaming him by calling him a rapist, but he's defaming her by saying, I didn't rape you. Once again, when you look at everything that's going on, Isaac, you have to see that this is all orchestrated just to take him out. That's it.
And look, you might agree with me on. I've said this on the podcast multiple times. Donald Trump will not get a fair trial wherever he goes, and this is why I say this. Okay, if you look at the case we were just talking about with the woman, I can't even think of her name. That's how important she is to this community.
E. Jean Carroll.
E. Jean Carroll. The case with E. Jean Carroll. Where did she file these lawsuits at? New York.
She fought to get the laws passed. She fought to get the laws changed so she would be able to sue him in New York.
So she had an agenda. The case today was done in the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Almost all liberal judges, even the Republican ones, are almost all liberal judges.
Yep.
You have Fulton County, this DA that ran on saying, I'm going to prosecute Donald Trump. Andy Briggs, I'm going to prosecute Donald Trump. This is all done in liberal cities. And look, people in New York, Donald Trump is from New York, but they hate Donald Trump. Why? Because he got an R behind his name. Now let's flip the script. In the Mar-a-Lago case in Florida, I predict he's going to be found not guilty in that case. You know why? In the state of Florida, which I think is done in Miami County, so that might play a factor in it. But you're really going to find people in Florida to prosecute Donald Trump, or
I think they have a way less shot of it, right?
That's what I'm saying. So he can't go to the most extreme conservatives because, first of all, the media's going to say he's biased, but they can tell us that we can't say they're biased when they report it in New York or whatever. But so it don't matter where he goes, he's not going to get a fair trial because you're going to either have an extreme conservative jury, or you can have an extreme jury that's liberal. So he can't get a fair shot where he goes.
No, and it's not even just about a fair shot. It's 100% completely railroaded. And everybody could see this. It's one thing after the other. You're telling me, he's the only one in the history of America that became president and took some files home with him. He's the only one that, completely raped every person that he ran into, and they're filing. What did he do? He picked up the wrong change that fell into somebody's pocket one time too. We're gonna prosecute him for that. It's every last thing that they could possibly throw at him, Isaac, and it shows to their desperation.
Yep.
Okay, it shows how desperate they actually really are when this is what's taking place.
And it's sad. It's sad. Mike, we was going to talk about some other stuff, but this was a good conference.
Right?
Huh?
I said you're at 30 minutes already.
Yeah,
like
30 minutes, man.
Yeah.
My listeners are going to get spoiled again, bro. You know.
Good. Spoil them up, man.
Yeah, spoil them up. Man, I'm going to be honest.
Great job.
You know what? I love doing every day. I think I told the audience that the other day on this show. I love doing every day, man. I'm more passionate, I think. You know, when you have 3 stories, you have to try to put all that passion into one. It takes a little bit out of you, so.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I have a weird, I definitely have a weird gift, Isaac, to where I have a weird recall and I can pull things up in a very weird way. So I like the longer formats because it's weird. You know, it's interesting because sometimes I feel like we start slow and then at the end of the show we're really
start building up.
Roaring, you know. So it's very interesting. Every show is different, but you have definitely found a niche in what you're doing, and I love watching. I'm with you every show, bro. Love it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So what was going on? Because the time we release this is going to be Wednesday. And y'all got a show for 2 Mics Live on Wednesday night. Y'all can you give me a little bit of sneak peek?
So we have a lot. It's not like, you know, it's very interesting because me and Mike both work, you know, obviously. So during the days we're gathering what we're going to be talking about that day typically. So I know I have a couple things on the docket. I really wanted to talk about Biden as far as blaming Trump and this whole immigration deal. I really wanted to dive into the actual deal and what it was. Because this immigration stuff, nobody understands. So one of my news stories is definitely going to be this lack or what bipartisan immigration deal is. And then it's obviously News Wednesday. So what we like doing, and I like the flow that we have going on. Mondays is like our deep dive segments, right? And then our Wednesday show is our News Wednesdays because typically, you know, your biggest news is going to come out right around your Wednesday. And then Friday we've been doing Open Mic Fridays where it's you can get on the show if you're just a regular person in the chat. You've been on it plenty of times.
Oh yeah,
and we love having you. It's so we have an awesome little format. So no, I mean we're 100% going to be talking about all the top news, you know, the news issues of the day. And right now, it definitely seems like it's the border that's on everybody's mind.
But you also got Mayorkas that didn't get impeached today, and Republicans helping out. And I asked that question on the last episode. You heard it. What are Senate Republicans doing? I'm just gonna ask the question. What are the Republicans are doing? They just, hey, look, I got that idea from you from one of your TikToks. It's just, man.
They're so dumb. They're being so dumb. They have everything going for them right now, Isaac, and they can't capitalize on it, right? And they're actually letting Biden make an argument that Trump's the one doing bad things. It's mind-boggling when you look at the Republicans that are actively working against the Republican Party. It almost seems like they're not really Republicans. It almost seems like they're part of a uniparty. Call me crazy. Call me a conservative or a conspiracy theorist. I don't know.
Well, hold on. Hey, one of Dan Bongino's golden rules. You got Republicans that are really Democrat, but you never have a Democrat that's really a Republican.
That is 100% accurate. Even when you look at Joe Manchin, he will never vote with the Republicans.
No.
Really. It's few and far between. He did it once or twice, saved everybody from a couple bad deals earlier on a couple years ago, and then went full back hard left. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what are you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
Wednesday, join us, man. 7:00. We are live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 7:00. Every one of those days on Rumble. Get in the live chat. The live chat's where it's at, man. If you ask me. I'm
gonna have to be introduced to Boondock. Yeah. Because every time I'm in the chat, I'm like, "What's up, guys?" And Boondock's like, "Isaac." So we have to get him on the show.
Hey, you know what? Boondock is a very old friend of mine. We go back to college, and if you want, we could Zoom on a Saturday night. Me and him, we get together. We do like an old college Zoom on a Saturday night. We have a really good time. Yeah, it's awesome.
Let's do it. Mike Caldarise, thank you for coming on tonight, man. We appreciate it.
Isaac, it was a blast, man. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. That was Mike Caldarise from Caldarise Unleashed, and two mics live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I am in the chat with them. I talk. I even get on there on sometime on Friday night. So with that being said, that's going to end this episode of the Cajun Conservative Show. Hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to hit the like and the subscribe button on the platform you're listening on. Remember that Jesus Christ is King. He's coming back. He's coming back soon. So don't be faint of heart, because Jesus has overcome the world. If you want to know Jesus, your Lord and Savior, just reach out to me at the CajunConservative5@gmail.com, and I will tell you how to make Jesus your Savior and heaven your home. Until next time, be blessed, be encouraged. You have a good one.